I'm standing right now on the Mount of Olives.
And why a lot of them want to be buried here is because they believe that the Messiah will come back to this mountain.
The Mount of Olives is no ordinary hill. Rising quietly across from the old city of Jerusalem, its slopes are covered with thousands upon thousands of graves, white stones stretching in every direction. For centuries, this place has stood as a silent witness to kings, prophets, and the promise of a future still to come. But this is not only a mountain of history, it is a mountain of prophecy. The Bible declares that on this very ground, the Messiah will one day return. The prophet Zechariah wrote that his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, and the mountain will split in two. From here, the king will enter Jerusalem through the eastern gate, also known as the Golden Gate. And yet, the eastern gate stands sealed. Heavy stones block its entrance. No one has passed through it for centuries. Historians tell us it was walled up to prevent the Messiah from entering. But the sealed gate has not stopped the faithful. For over 3,000 years, the Jewish people have chosen to be buried on this mountain, facing the city, facing the gate, facing the promise of resurrection. Now, something remarkable is happening. The ancient cemetery is expanding. New graves are being added, inching closer and closer to the sealed eastern gate. To the casual eye, it looks like ordinary city planning, but to those who know the prophecies, it is a sign filled with meaning. Could it be that these stones, these graves, this mountain are whispering that the day of fulfillment is drawing near? The question is not just about prophecy, it is about readiness. Because if the King of Glory is coming, how prepared are we to meet him? Long before the world spoke of end times, the Mount of Olives was already etched into the story of Israel. This mountain has always carried weight, not just as a geographic landmark, but as a stage where the plans of God and the struggles of men collided. In the Old Testament, we see King David ascending this hill in sorrow as he fled from his son Absalom. It was here that prophets spoke of visions and warnings, tying this mountain to both judgment and hope. Ezekiel described the glory of God departing from the temple and resting upon the Mount of Olives before leaving the city. That moment carried a message. God's presence, though withdrawn, had not abandoned his people. But the most striking prophecy came through Zechariah. He wrote of a day when the Lord himself would stand upon this mountain. When his feet touched the ground, the Mount of Olives would split apart, forming a great valley. That vision is not simply poetry. It is a declaration of future power, a cosmic event tied directly to the Messiah's return. The New Testament deepens the mountain's significance. Jesus often came here to pray, to teach, and to look over Jerusalem. On these slopes he gave the Olivet Discourse, a teaching about the signs of the end times, and it was from this very place that he ascended into heaven. Angels promised his followers that he would return in the same way they saw him go, back to the Mount of Olives. Every stone, every pathway on this mountain carries the echoes of prophecy. And as history unfolds, its role has only grown more urgent. Across the valley from the Mount of Olives stands one of the most mysterious sights in Jerusalem, the Eastern Gate, also called the Golden Gate or Gate of Mercy. It faces directly toward the mountain, linking prophecy, history, and expectation in a straight line of sight. According to the prophet Ezekiel, this gate was to remain shut until the Prince, the Messiah, would enter through it. Today it is sealed with massive stones, impenetrable and silent. No one has passed through it for centuries. Historians tell us it was walled up to prevent the Messiah from entering. But the sealed gate has not stopped the faithful. For over 3,000 years, the Jewish people have chosen to be buried on this mountain, facing the city, facing the gate, facing the promise of resurrection. Now, with graves on the Mount of Olives stretching closer to this very gate, the picture grows more striking. On one side, a mountain filled with tombs awaiting resurrection. On the other, a gate sealed tight, awaiting the King of Glory. It is a scene frozen in time, as though Jerusalem itself is holding its breath. The Eastern Gate stands as both a mystery and a promise. To the world, it is stone and mortar. To prophecy, it is the doorway of destiny, waiting for the moment when it will open not by the hand of man, but by the arrival of the Messiah himself.
When Jesus spoke of the end times, he urged his followers to watch, not to predict dates or set timelines, but to watch the signs unfolding around them. And when we look at the Mount of Olives and the Eastern Gate today, it feels like those signs are growing louder. The expansion of graves toward the old city is not just a matter of population. It looks like prophecy in motion. The sealed Eastern Gate is not merely history. It is a living witness of Ezekiel's vision. And when we step back, these details align with the bigger picture Jesus gave us. Wars and rumors of wars, nations rising against nations, Israel back in her land, and Jerusalem once again at the center of global attention. For centuries, people mocked the idea of prophecy, calling it outdated or symbolic. Yet in our own time, events that seemed impossible are happening before our eyes. Israel has returned. The city of Jerusalem is restored to her people. And now the very geography of the Mount of Olives and its connection to the gate remind us that God's word has not failed. It is alive. The Mount of Olives whispers expectation. The Eastern Gate stands sealed in silence. The world stage trembles with unrest. It is as if every piece is moving into place for a final act written long ago. Are these coincidences, or are they confirmations? Each passing year, the line between ordinary events and prophetic signs grows thinner. And whether the world is ready or not, the King is coming. The question is, will we be watching when the gate finally opens? Prophecy is not given to entertain us. It is given to awaken us. When we look at the Mount of Olives, the sealed Eastern Gate, and the countless graves awaiting resurrection, the message is not about history alone. It is about our own hearts today. Jesus warned his disciples, "You also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." That command was not for a generation long gone. It is for us, right now. Every grave on the Mount of Olives points toward readiness. Every stone facing Jerusalem cries out with expectation. And every detail we've explored reminds us of the same truth. The King is coming. Not someday in theory, but someday in reality. The call is simple: to stay awake, to keep watch, to live not for the temporary, but for the eternal. Because prophecy is not about curiosity, it is about preparation. Think about it. The Eastern Gate will not open for the wealthy, the powerful, or the famous. It will open for the King of Glory. And when he comes, the question will not be what we knew about prophecy, but whether we were ready for his return. The Mount of Olives reminds us that history is heading somewhere. The sealed gate tells us that the story is not yet finished, and the signs of our time are calling us to live ready, because the King could return at any moment. The Mount of Olives is covered in white stones, graves stretching like a silent army awaiting the call of resurrection. The eastern gate stands sealed, untouched for centuries, as if holding its breath for the day it will open. And in between them lies the Kidron Valley, a stage set for the most dramatic event in human history, the return of the King. Every sign points forward. Every prophecy whispers of fulfillment. Every headline in our world hints that the time is drawing closer, yet still the gate remains shut. Still the graves wait. Still the world carries on as though nothing is about to change. But the Bible tells us otherwise. The King of Glory will enter. His feet will stand again on the Mount of Olives. The silence will break, the gate will open, and history itself will never be the same. The question is not if, it is when. And when that day comes, will we be found watching or sleeping?